We've talked a lot about prior. I haven't really jumped into it yet, well, too heavily yet, going into 2024, about the importance of getting out the vote and getting involved in your area and just looking. We talked a little bit about actually early voting, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And Democrats always have this crazy head start. And then you always have the October surprise that drops. And the crazy thing is that the October surprise drops, but yet there's a significant number of people whose votes would have been seriously impacted, probably gone the other way. That they go out and they wait till the last minute, or they wait till they. I think on election day, if it's like the lines are too long or if it's too crazy, they don't show. I don't know. I have problems with the way that Republicans handle this, and Republicans don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to do anything about it. What is the RNC planning for 2024? Democrats are out there registering everybody right now. What is the RNC doing? The only person who I can see doing anything actually isn't with the RNC. It's Scott Presler. And you can find him at Scott Presler on Twitter. Early Vote Action is his organization. And he rightfully says that it's time for Republicans to fight back. Scott, I got to tell you, you're like a folk hero. Because you're going out there and for real, you are doing the stuff that the RNC should be doing. I don't know why they're not patterning what they're doing in some of these battleground states after what you're doing in state after state. Because you're going out, you're registering people to vote. And you're also saying, look, in the areas where you can do X, Y, Z, where you can vote earlier, you can do, deal with ballots harvesting or whatever. If they're going to make it legal, go out and let's get people registered. Go out and vote. Why would you give somebody such a head start? So kudos to you for doing this. I mean, it is a very thankless job because I don't think that you get the recognition that you deserve for it. Why did you decide to punish yourself by starting this?
Well, number one, thank you for having me. I'm always tweeting with that husband of yours, and I'm so glad to be here on the Dana Loesch Show. I created Early Vote Action in part because of 2022. It was supposed to be a red tsunami. It was supposed to be a resounding defeat to Joe Biden and the Democrats and all the reckless policies that they've been instituting since he was elected in 2020. And we didn't have it. And in part because look at Arizona with Kari Lake. The machines factually go down on what day? Election day. Nevada, Adam Laxalt, he loses by 8,000 votes. It snows in Washoe County in Reno, Nevada on what day? Election day. And in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, a Republican county, and in Harris County, Texas, the most populous county in the state of Texas, they run out of paper ballots on what day?
Election day.
And so it's my argument that, look, I know that everybody watching the Dana Loesch Show right now, you may be hesitant to do early voting, or you may think that the Democrats are going to know how many votes that they need in order to win the election. But the fact of the matter is, guys, if we wait to vote on one day, Election Day in November of 2024, I feel personally that Joe Biden has already won re-election. We must do early in-person voting. We must vote by mail. And in states like Nevada, where it's legal, we must engage in legal ballot harvesting if we're going to be successful this year and beyond.
That's a really good point that you make. We're talking with Scott Presler, and the website is earlyvoteaction.com. Because, and I like how you said, because I'm like, oh, let's just go on ballot harvest. You're like, well, where it's legal, let's do legal ballot harvesting. But you make a really good point with this. This is a big issue in my family because I'm not going to identify who it is, but it's a grandparent in my family. And they are very much like, I go and I vote on election day. That's what I've always done. But, like you said, in Nevada, they had a snowstorm. And then in Lucerne, they had issues on election day. And it's very interesting that, these are in counties that are Democrat operated that are supposed to keep all of this stuff up and make sure that there's paper ballots. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is left to chance. And I agree with you that. What do I tell, though, the grandparent of my family that I'm constantly I'm like, where it's legal, do it. If you can go and do it, then do it.
Well, I want to touch on a couple of things. Number one, look, I just want people to vote. I do. I want you to vote. So grandparent of Dana Loesch, if you want to go vote on election day or do your thing, I'm so happy about that. But look, in Nevada, I said to you that 8,000 voters was the reason deciding why he didn't win the election. 150,000 registered Nevada Republicans didn't vote in 2022.
Oh.
Election was winnable. So the fact of the matter is, to the person listening, we have the votes. We have the number that we need in order to win, but the Democrats are just so much better about getting out the vote. And I'm going to New Jersey next week because we have state legislative elections and we have the opportunity to take over the General Assembly and stop Democratic Governor Murphy. But here's the thing. Jack Ciattarelli lost by nearly 70,000 votes. In Bergen County alone, 75,000 Republicans did not vote in 2021.
Oh my gosh.
Governorship. And furthermore, because you touched on this point, Dana, I'm in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania right now, and we have the opportunity to take the Supreme Court seat, electing Judge Carolyn Carluccio to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court this November. But here's the thing. Going into the first and only debate in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania between John Fetterman and Dr. Oz in 2022, 500,000 Pennsylvanians had already voted before they saw the debacle of a debate performance between Fetterman and Oz. And 4 out of 5 of those voters were registered Democrats. So the Democrats were going into Election Day with a bank of at least 400,000 Democratic voters. And so, guys, if we're going to be this successful this year and beyond, we must have an all-of-the-above approach to voting.
We're talking with Scott Presler. You can find him on Twitter at Scott Presler, or X now. It's now X. You make such a great point because it's turnout. I remember the special election for the Senate seat in Georgia, and I was looking at the turnout. We have a lot of affiliates in Georgia, and I was looking at the turnout. I was getting some of these numbers from the Secretary of State's office, et cetera, and I was going through, and in some of the reddest districts in that state, there was such a low turnout because you're right. We have the numbers. We have the registered voters. But why is it that that's always the thing that gets us? Why do Republicans not turn up?
Well, it's a couple reasons. I mean, maybe 1, they don't like the candidate, or maybe 2, they feel like their vote doesn't count, or maybe 3, they feel like the election is going to be rigged against our favor. But look, at what we did in 2022. We took the House. We won in New York, on Long Island, in Brooklyn, of all places. We won in California, guys. We elected Valadao. We kept Young Kim. We kept Michelle Steele. We even flipped a democratically controlled seat with Duarte. And my argument to y'all, in addition to us winning the governorship in Nevada, by the way, which is in play in 2024, the fact of the matter is we won in places that we shouldn't have won. And in part, it's because we engaged in early voting. We did legal ballot harvesting, and it was using every tool legally to our advantage that won us the House of Representatives in 2022.
Why is the RNC not reaching out to you?
That's a great question. Today is day 161 consecutively that I've reached out to Chairwoman McDaniel. But you know what? I believe in leading by example. I'm not going to tell people to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And that's why I'm going out door knocking in New Jersey. And that's why I visited Penn State College to register new Republican Gen Z voters. And so at earlyvoteaction.com, we're not going to wait for the RNC. We're not going to wait for the GOP to do things that it should be doing. We are going to take control. And I hope that if you are inspired by seeing me on the Dana Loesch show right now and you want to take action, you please visit us at earlyvoteaction.com, and I will set you up either with my application to knock on doors or writing letters to new movers in the state of Kentucky so we can elect Daniel Cameron as the next governor. But I will put you to work.
I love this. Scott Presler is like the Johnny Appleseed of voter registration. He really is. I mean, you need to be actually, I think, the RNC chair instead of just them calling you. I think you need to run the RNC because you're getting results. You're getting people. I mean, in the way that he rolls all these names of all these elected officials off his tongue, doesn't even matter if it's California, Nevada. No, I mean, I know people in the RNC who can't do that. I mean, you are so plugged in and you're doing this and you have the heart for it. So people can go to earlyvoteaction.com, would encourage them to do so. What is one thing? What's like one message that you want to leave in the minds of the people watching one thing that you would tell them before we go into this weekend?
I want you to be hopeful. I want you to be optimistic about the future. I want you to know that freedom is worth fighting for. Our country is worth fighting for. And for every single one of you that has babies or future babies or grandchildren, just know that this fight is for them. And I hope that you will do everything in your power to make sure that this November we win in Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia. And that momentum this November is going to lead us to helping to defeat Joe Biden and make him a one-term president next year.
Amen to that. That needs to happen. Scott Presler, earlyvoteaction.com. Scott, you do such great work, and I hope that it does not go unappreciated, and I hope you know that. It does not go unappreciated. Thank you so much for what you do, and it's so good to talk with you. We'll talk with you again soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Take care. Have a great weekend.